Hi guys, this is Lilac Spectrum here, and I want to do something new that I'm introducing to my channel. It's called the wrap-up. And basically if you watch a lot of other YouTubers or booktubers, you see that they have like wrap-ups for each month, which is basically when they just tell you things about the books they've been reading that month and fun stuff like that. Now for me, I've been kind of like on a Sunday upload, so I want to do these every last Sunday of the month, so even if we have a whole week of that month left to go, that's still going to be the wrap-up day. So just keep that in mind as I try to do something with this new idea. The whole idea about wrapping up at the end of the month, if there's still days in that month, whatever I finish reading that month will not be included on this video, it'll be included on the next time. So I'll just put that towards the next month. I think it's just going to be a lot easier than trying to record a bunch of stuff and just have a cutoff date so I can film it, be done with it, and if something else comes up at the end of the month, like I know we got after this Sunday, I think we have like 3 or 4 more days of the month left in May. So what I'll do is, if I finish any books those days, or if I finish any books from today till then, I can just add those to the next month. I think that's just going to be a lot easier on me. So I'll talk about them next month. I think the good thing about wrap-ups is I don't read a specific kind of book. I read a lot of different kind of books. I like true crime, I like romance, I like young adult. So I think wrap-ups will be good for my channel just because it gives everybody some kind of option for new books to look into. So this month I ended up reading 10 books, which is insane because I just got on summer break and I haven't had that much time to read like I wanted to, and then I just got all this time and 10 books got finished, and actually I finished more, but the fact that I have just been trying to read so much, and some of the books like I don't really have any opinions on, so I didn't include them. Also, with these wrap-up videos, I'd kind of like to talk about my Goodreads reading challenge, so I kind of want to go there with that as well, but I'll do that at the end so that I can have some time to talk about these books first and then go there. Now, if you see like a light from below, that's my laptop. I have this list of books that I have been reading, and so that might be causing like a light or something. I'm not sure. So, let's get started with the books, shall we? Alright, so the first book I read this month was called The One by Kiera Cass. Now, this is in that series, the Selection series. It's the third book in that series, and it's the final book of her story, which is basically these girls are all, it's kind of like the Hunger Games meets Princess Diaries, but nobody ends up dying. So if that's a good way to, if you like the Hunger Games, which had a competition feel, and you like Princess Diaries, which there was a princess involved, you would probably like this book. The girl is basically with 35 other girls in the first book, and she basically is trying to win the heart of the prince. And this is just like the rounding up the end of the story and who wins and all that. So you should definitely check it out if you like Princess Diaries and the Hunger Games. Like I said, there is no death involved, but it's has a similar feel. The next book I read was What Light by J. Asher, which was a great book. It's written by J. Asher, who also wrote 13 Reasons Why, which became a phenomenon a couple months back when Netflix released the movie, the TV show, and I enjoyed the show. They did a pretty good job. There were some things I hated, but overall was pretty impressed with how well they did. But What Light is following a girl whose parents own a Christmas tree farm, and they have to go sell trees in a different part of the I don't know if it's a different part of that state or another state, but anyway, she's away from her friends all the time since she was younger, and this book basically touches on like her first real true love, and how being separated from her friends and how it affects her, and how it affects her friendships, and this new love interest she's generated while at the stand for selling the trees. And it was a pretty good book. I actually didn't think I'd like it all that well, and then I just thought the cover was really pretty, and then I picked it up and I got engulfed in the story and loved it. So I like Christmas trees anyway. I love the smell of a Christmas tree, and I thought it would be cool to, I've never read a story where somebody owned a Christmas tree farm, so that was interesting. An interesting read. The next book on my list was The Merciless by Danielle Vega. Now this was my friend's book and she let me borrow it. I actually have it with me still because she never got it back. But it was interesting. I kind of thought it was going to be about witches. Kind of. I don't know, I guess because on the front. But it's kind of not like about witches. It's more like about demons and stuff like that. This girl's new in town and she gets kind of caught up with these other girls and she gets into some trouble with them. So it's interesting because like I said, I thought witches and witchcraft and stuff like that. But it's so much more than that. It's demons. It's not witches at all. And I was kind of let down. And it had a weird flow to it. Like there was a lot of the story that was focused on the bad part. It didn't really, in my opinion, it didn't give me enough to get worked into the story. And then all of a sudden the bad part was there. And the bad part took up like 75% of the book. And then it kind of ended abruptly. And I'm ready to read the next one. I didn't hate it. It was a pretty good book, but I don't know, I felt like the timing was a little off. And so I'm kind of, I don't know how to feel about this book. So, yeah, I liked it. I did like it. I would recommend it to anybody who likes stuff like that. Like demonic stuff. I mean, it's not demonic. It's kind of Mean Girls meets The Craft, kind of. Even though she's not a witch, she's it's demon stuff. But anyway, I guess if you like The Craft and you like Mean Girls, that would be something kind of like it, even though there are no witches involved. But I thought it was a good book. So, Where She Went by Gayle Forman was the next one on my list. Now, I read If I Stay right when it first came out and loved it. I watched the movie. Was a little let down by the movie, but did like the movie okay. But then I read Where She Went and just was not having it at all. I could not get through the first 4 chapters before I was just ready to put it down. I hated every part of it. It just was a flop to me. And I figured I would go ahead and share that here. It was more told as if like the characters knew something had happened. Like they remembered the other stuff that happened in the first book, but it was almost like, we're not going to address that, we're just going to leave each other hanging. It was weird. I didn't like it. That's just my opinion though. The next book that I really, really loved, it probably has to be one of my favorite books I read this whole month. It will probably gain, in my opinion, the Book of the Month award. So, was Our Chemical Hearts by Krystal Sutherland. It is about this guy and this girl, and the girl acts very strange, and she basically, she limps, and she wears guys' clothing, and she's very mysterious, and it's about this guy kind of trying to learn how to move through life with his first real love. And I thought it was really refreshing to hear it from a guy's point of view. And I thought it was a really good book. It was very realistic how it ended, which I'm not going to tell you how it ended, but it was very realistic to how it ended, and I felt so, I don't know, I feel like if I had read that book 10 years ago or 5 years ago, I would have been disappointed, but as I am older and more mature now and reading something like that, it's like, yeah, I get that. And so I really did enjoy it. So if you have not read it, you definitely need to read it. If any of these books you think about reading, that's the one you need to read. Okay, so the next book on the list was The Last Time We Say Goodbye by Cynthia Hand. This was an interesting book too. I really did enjoy it. It was more along the lines of suicide and talked about stuff like that and self-harm, and I was kind of scared to pick it up because it was kind of newer, not necessarily newer, but it was right around the time that 13 Reasons Why came out, the movie, the show, and I was just kind of nervous to pick it up. I did cry like a baby, but I thought it was a really good book, and it had a good message, I believe, and it felt very realistic too, because you know, everybody deals with grief in specific ways. Everybody tries to put grief in this cookie cutter image, and that's not how it usually is. Grief is felt differently by different people, so I think it addresses grief in a way that's very real, and I really did like that part. The next one was The Retribution of Dyer by Michelle Hodkin. Now, on this channel, I did review the first two, which were great, but I felt like the third one was kind of not a flop, but it just wasn't as interesting to me as the first one. The first one was like, out of the whole series, the first one has to be my favorite, and then the second one kind of had me, but at the same time, I was like, eh, and then the third one was like, ugh. But I pushed through the whole book to finish it just because I wanted to say I finished it. But I doubt I'm going to do a review for the third one just because I didn't like it as much. And I find that with a lot of trilogies that are like the first one and the second one, or the first one or the second one, and then the third one is just like, ugh, I don't like it. I don't know if it felt like she could have ended with the first one. Like, she could have extended the first one a little further and came to a conclusion, and I would have been fine with that. But, or even came to a conclusion with the second one, and I would have been fine with that. But that third one, it just didn't catch me the way the other two did, and I was let down, really. But overall, it was an okay book. Would it be the book that I recommend the most? No. Not really. The next book I read was The Death of Innocence by John and Patsy Ramsey. Now, in the past month, I've been kind of obsessed with the JonBenet Ramsey murder, because Netflix came out with a show called Casting JonBenet, which was not really what I was expecting it to be. But it piqued my interest in. Shane Dawson also did JonBenet conspiracy theories and stuff like that, and that also piqued my interest. So far, I've been reading a lot of JonBenet information. I've read like 3 books. I'm currently reading the 3rd book. Gonna be reading the 4th one very soon because I just picked it up from the library today. And I just want to hear everybody's opinions on it. That's really what I'm doing. But I think that case was very interesting. But this book is written by the parents of JonBenet Ramsey, and it just feels very fake. I don't personally recommend anybody to read that if you want evidence, like files and like autopsies and stuff like that. If you want facts, I would not say read that book, because I feel like a lot of the stuff in that story was them trying to formulate kind of America's sweetheart personalities. They wanted people to be on their side. I felt that way. So if you want cold, hard facts, find another book. The next book I read this month was called JonBenet, Inside the Ramsey Murder Investigation by Steve Thomas. And this one was written with facts and all that stuff from a police's point of view, a man in the police. And, you know, I was really into Steve Thomas for a while until I found out that he leaked a lot of the information that was leaked into the police force. Or he leaked some of it. I don't think he leaked it all. I don't think he leaked the majority of it, but he did leak a lot of it. Some of the, I know that sounds contradictory. He leaked some of the crucial information. And he ended up, like, giving up his position because he didn't like how they were handling it. But all facts, I believe he was leaking information, and he didn't want that on his conscience to be, I don't know. I really did like the way he thought. You know, how he said what he thought, and the facts that he gives you, and the walkthrough of the actual story, like what he thinks happened, was a pretty convincing argument in my opinion. You could read that one if you want. That's the first one I started with, and that's been the best one so far. Like right now I'm reading one from like not an investigator, a journalist type person. I don't know what she is. It's okay. I've been skipping a lot of chapters because it's a lot of the same information again and again and again. So, but yeah, that's how I feel about this case. I don't want to give any opinions about stuff. Like, I don't want to say I think they did it or they didn't. But I do believe there's some information that we don't quite know. You know what I'm saying? So, those have been some things I've been reading. So you'll probably see a few more JonBenet Ramsey books come up in the next month or so, just because I've been checking a lot of them out. But anyway. And then, of course, the final book I read this month was called Adulting, How to Become a Grown-Up in 468 Easy-ish Steps by Kelly Williams Brown, which is basically just kind of like all the stuff you need to know to become an adult. Like, I'm at that weird area. I'm 20. I'll be 21 in a couple months. Woo. And I'm kind of at that area where some people still look at me like I'm a child, and others are like, yeah, you're an adult. And I feel like there's a lot of stuff I don't know. Like, I'll be sitting with adults and they'll be talking about something and then I'll be like, what are they talking about? So I picked this book up and it's very interesting. It's just about simple things that some of them are kind of common sense, but some of them are like not as common sense. Like, they talk about different things like the 401k plan and stuff like that, which I knew some stuff about, but some people don't. They really don't know about retirement. They really don't know about savings and stuff like that. So I thought it was pretty good. It talked about things like cleaning, how to clean things correctly, what you should be cleaning and how often you should be cleaning it. Like, it talks about some easy meals to make, which is cool. How to eat on a budget when it comes to preparing meals at home. When you buy your first apartment or your first house, what you need, like the essential items you need, some essential items you might want to take in your car every day, some essential items to have at a desk if you work at a desk or on the job. And I just never thought like that. Some things about owning pets. So, you know, plant items like household plants and outdoor plants. And she had literally relationship advice, roommate advice, bosses that come on to you advice, which I've never had any of that stuff. But it's just interesting how she approaches the world. And very cool. I thought it was an interesting read. So if you're interested in wanting to learn how to... Oh, that would be a good book for you. And I have some other books. But anyway, to update you on my reading challenge, on my Goodreads it says I want to read 50 books, but technically I'd like to read 100 to 200 books, maybe 300 this year, but hopefully I'll be starting nursing in the fall, and I will not have time for that. But so far I've read 40 books, so that's awesome. But anyway, so that's the books I've been reading this month, and this I hope will become a monthly thing, but who knows. I'm going to do it until August. Well, I hope I can do it till August. I'm definitely going to be doing it until July, so you'll get 3 months of the book of the month kind of thing, and then we'll have to maybe end it, but I don't know, maybe not. But yeah, like I said, for this month, I would say Our Chemical Hearts by Krystal Sutherland is the book of the month. It was the best book I read this month. So good, so good. But yay! So thank you guys for tuning in to this awesome video. I read a lot of books this month, and I hope to read a lot more next month. So, thank you guys, and if you want to find me on any of my social medias, you can find those all below, and I'll see you in the next video.